Okay, so folklore is absolutely, without a doubt, a fallish, autumny album. It is the cottagecore feeling we all need right now. But for me, there will always be one song that signifies back to school season and autumn time, and that is Conjunction Junction, what's your function? Picking up words and phrases and clauses. Conjunction junction, how's that function? I got and, but, and, or, they'll get you pretty far. I don't know the words. Hey everybody. No, that's too energetic. That's too energetic for 8 a.m. in the morning. Hey everybody, my name is Maya. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome back. If you're returning, today we are going to discuss my September TBR, which will be different than my past TBRs, and you will see why in uno momento. TBRs, right? They're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun for my type A brain. I love organizing. I make this is the October one, but I make calendars that look like this to soothe my strangely academic and perfectionist mind, but they're just not working out for me, to be completely honest. Last month, I was meant to read these and these, and how many of these did I read? Well, absolutely jack squat. That's how many. If I'm not going to read my TBR, then it seems a little counterproductive to make one. That said, there are definitely at least 5 books per month that I know I want to get around to and thus feel comfortable committing myself to on a public platform. And I have those 5 for you today. And the remainder I will pick based on my mood because yes, I am a mood reader now. I am. The first book I would like to read this month is The Cider House Rules by John Irving, who my dad tells me is a quintessential American writer. Is he? I don't know. We'll find out. Why did I pick The Cider House Rules for my first TBR book for the month? Well, because apparently a lot of it takes place during apple harvesting season, and that just stinks of fall. You know, apple harvesting, I've never done it, but it sounds very autumnal to me. There's also an apple on the cover. From one of America's most beloved and respected writers comes the classic story of Homer Wells, an orphan, and Wilbur Larch, a doctor without children of his own, who develop an extraordinary bond with one another. Apparently, it's entertaining, it's affecting, it has a lot of artistry and ingenuity, it is witty, tender-hearted, fervent, and scarifying. Scarifying? Please define scarifying.
Cut and remove debris from a lawn with a scarifier.
I don't think...
Want to hear the next one?
No, thank you. I don't think that's what that person meant. But maybe they just cut lawns the whole time. I'm excited for this one. All of the books on this TBR are quite long. This is approximately a 24-hour audiobook, but I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling good. As far as audiobooks go, the next one I will be reading this month is The Witches by Stacey Schiff. The year, 1692. The place, Salem, Massachusetts. The phenomenon, burning women and drowning them. Oh yay, oh joy. So I'm taking AP US History this year, and we just literally for 2 minutes talked about the Salem witch trials, and I thought, I'd prefer more than 2 minutes worth of knowledge on this topic, so I picked up this book, which is nonfiction written by a really acclaimed historian, because I trust historians for the most part. That's actually an interesting topic. Who writes your history? Who writes your story? Alexander Hamilton. The Salem witch trials interest me for a lot of reasons, primarily because I'm so fascinated by the way that not only social structures such as sexism and classism, but also how religion have impacted people's lives throughout history. The really interesting thing about the Salem witch trials is that often the women who were accused of being witches were either poor and taciturn and not palatable for the time period, not conventionally feminine, or they were widowers who were incredibly wealthy. Again, not conventional for women during that time period. It didn't matter if you were rich or poor. It didn't matter if you chose not to be married or you were a widower, you had been married. You could be subject to this accusation that's just, quite frankly, in hindsight, ridiculous. Then, of course, religion also played a huge part into this. If you were not feminine by the way that the Bible told you you should be, you could be accused of being a witch, which is baffling to me. But I want to learn more about it because it's a super interesting part of my country's history and one that I think we should learn about more because it's just, I think, integral to the topic of women's rights and classism and things like that. Additionally, it's September. I have to read one book about witches. Are you kidding me? My other 3 books for this month that I'm going to be talking about today are one is an audiobook. I just have it on hold, not checked out yet. And the other 2 are physical books. Let's talk about the physical ones first. Let's get physical. The first physical book I will be reading this month is Lord of the Rings, whichever one comes first. I think it's The Fellowship of the Ring. That's it. I've seen all the movies, have not read the books. Fellowship of the Ring takes place in Middle Earth, and it follows Frodo Baggins, who is a hobbit who lives with his uncle Bilbo, who is the main character of The Hobbit, which I have read, yes indeed, and all of his adventures that he goes on to save the Shire and to save Middle Earth. There's something to do with a ring. There's a creature named Gollum, voiced by the one and only Andy Serkis. There's Mordor. There's darkness. There's love. There's light. There's friendship. There is mutton. There is 11sies.
Gentlemen, we do not stop till nightfall.
What about breakfast?
We've already had it.
We've had one, yes. What about second breakfast?
Don't think he knows about second breakfast, Pip.
What about 11sies? Luncheon, afternoon tea, dinner, supper. He knows about them, doesn't he?
I wouldn't count on it.
Feeling very hopeful for this one. Autumn for me is definitely a time for high fantasy and spookiness and just fun things, and this fits into the former category. Aha! You know how I said there were 2 physical books? I lied, there's just the one. So the other 2 audiobooks I will be reading are one, The House on the Cerulean Sea by TJ McMillan? I don't know. Clune! It's Clune. I bet you $1 million. Clune. I got it. The House in the Cerulean Sea. I don't really know what it's about. I have started it. I'm about 6% of the way in. What I can tell you is that there are magical children, and the main character's name is Linus, which is just the best name. There's also LGBTQ+ rep in here. This book has been all over BookTube, all over the interweb, and so I thought I'd check it out and try it out, and I'm enjoying it so far. I will let you know at the end of the month my final thoughts. Last but not least, for another high fantasy, I think it's high fantasy. I don't quite understand the distinction. If you do, please let me know. High fantasy, low fantasy. But that book is Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin, the 3rd installment of the Song of Ice and Fire series. I own all the physical books that exist thus far. I tried to read it first day of school. That's what I took to school. Read it before biology. I could not focus. I didn't know how to pronounce the characters' names in my brain, so I'm relying on the audiobook. Even though it's Roy Dotrice, I find him endearing now. He was horrible for the first one. He was better for the second one, and I love the audiobook version. So I'm waiting for that to come in, and I'm just so excited. I adore the characters in Game of Thrones. It is problematic for a variety of reasons. That is not something to be debated, but I do thoroughly enjoy the world building and the characters and the relationships between them. Those are the 5 books I will be for sure starting and reading in September. There are also a few that I started in August and will be finishing within this week, the next week-ish. Those are The Girl Who Drank the Moon, The Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, my first book for school this year, and The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. The latter is blowing me away. Also, this just in, thank you for 200 subscribers. That just made my whole day so much better. Just because, obviously, numbers are arbitrary, but people aren't, and it just means a lot to me that you guys want to hear what I have to say, and it makes me happy, so thank you. Yeah, with all that out of the way, thank you again for being here. It means a lot to me. I hope you enjoyed this video, picked up some recs, and I will talk to you all again on Tuesday. Bye-bye.